Yet.
We're live.
This hangout is live from our Florida room. Welcome to the Big Family Homestead. I'm Brad.
And I'm Claire.
And we have an exciting and soon-to-be classic edition of Tech Talk tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I am here with the legend, the myth, the man, Will from the Weekend Homestead. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm good tonight, and I'm remote from a new location. So we're calling in from...
What was that?
I said I'm calling in from remote.
Well, hold on one second.
Oh, did we kill it?
Yeah. Isn't that's kind of, we'll talk about that later, but you're in an undisclosed location.
Top secret.
Top secret. And we're going to learn, actually, party people of YouTube, we're going to learn something new about Will that most of you probably don't know. And it's really, really crazy cool. And I don't know, should we try to have him guess what it is?
How about this? If somebody can guess where we're at, we'll have a special prize for them. We'll come up with something that we'll do as a giveaway.
All right, so I'm calling up the chat here. It's not even showing me that it's live, which whatever. Where's yours there, sister? Yours isn't working?
Mine says it's live.
No, it's live. I can see that it's live. It's not showing up live on my channel, so I can't call up comments. Drats. Heavens to Murgatroyd. The technology has come to a crash. Boom. All right. Well, we'll go and we'll see what you can do there.
It's not even showing up.
It's not even showing up.
Mine is in. We got Lone Star in there. We've got Dolphin Man. So Claire's in there.
I see you, sister. All right. Well, then I will not be able to answer or ask questions.
It's showing up now.
You got it now?
Try it again.
Let me see if I can refresh this page. Let me go to this page. Let's just go to home. Let's go to home, shall we? Let's go home. Are you too good for your home?
Don't you just want to go back to your home?
It's not showing. Doggone it.
Live streams.
Live streams right here.
I think I'm at a site at a movie filming is what Lone Star thinks I'm at.
That's getting close. Getting close. I wonder if it's because I'm using the same browser.
I had to open up a new, for some reason on this remote connection that we're testing out tonight, because I'm at the remote location, I had to open up a completely separate version of the browser.
That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hi. Now we can actually start the show.
Oh, Lone Star's getting closer.
Lone Star's getting closer. But then they're going to have to guess part two. Okay, so I can actually see the content, the comments now, guys, and we are ready to rock and roll. Okay, a couple things that we got to talk about tonight. We wanted to finish out a little bit from last week. We started talking about Steemit and cryptocurrencies. We also wanted to bring to you guys, Will has an unusual amount of amazing experience with video cards, and he'll tell you why. And I wanted to talk about the importance of a video card if you're a video producer, what that can help you with. If we get to it, we can talk about rural internet and what's good, what's bad, and all that kind of nonsense, and possibly Amazon. So before we continue on, ladies and gentlemen, hi. I'm sorry that I was distracted earlier. I couldn't get my chat going. And is anybody closer now? Is Lone Star getting closer?
They're getting close. I don't know. I mean, I guess school's out, so that's, you know.
School is out, you know. I'm told. So, all right. First things first, guys. Did anybody really pick up on the whole Steemit thing last week? And did you get it? Did you understand what it was? Or was it just kind of like they're just talking gibberish again? But I like hanging out with people, and so we'll just ignore that.
I thought it was pretty interesting. I do want to cover one item that we didn't talk about that I learned after we did the show, which was one of the things that I was reading online is, and this isn't necessarily public, but it's one of those things where I've kind of seen it in action, which is YouTube is not a big fan. Just like if you put a link in Facebook to YouTube, Facebook doesn't tend to propagate those videos, they push it down. Yep. I've also heard rumors that Steemit, if you put Steemit in your descriptions and your titles or anything like that, that then you have to, you know, it'll push them down. So my recommendation is keep them completely separate. You have
I agree.
and you have YouTube, and like if you have a website, you can have the two on there because YouTube doesn't have anything to do with that. But if you have you know, your description and stuff like that, then you have an issue.
And Lone Star officially got it.
No, Coco got it first.
Oh, Coco got it first?
Yep, I am live backstage at Alice Cooper. I'm actually working a remote pyro gig today up in northern Wisconsin. So it ended up where, you know, I got a chance to pull away from the side. We've got actually right behind us. That's where everybody's setting up. I'm in the little craft service area and kind of backstage right now. So I found a Wi-Fi connection, and Brad and I said, hey, let's give it a try. So here we are.
Well, and you got to back up, because a lot of people just breezed through what you just said. When he said, I'm at a remote location in Wisconsin, I'm doing a pyro gig, what that means to the average person is you blow stuff up for rock stars and make fire and explosions. And please elaborate, because it's one of the coolest things I think that you can do, except for being in a band.
Yeah, no, I can't play any instruments. So I've always been into fireworks and pyrotechnics, and I did a lot of outdoor shows and things like that. And a couple of years ago, I got picked up by an agency that does shows for concerts and stuff like that. Like I've done stuff for Kiss and Alice Cooper and Motley Crue, and like Guns N' Roses is coming to town. A couple of weeks ago, we had Green Day and all that kind of stuff. And as these concerts come to town, they look for crew members to do that kind of stuff. And I've had a license to do pyro, so I'm kind of been the guy. I do NFL, I do NBA, I do, you know, all those different groups and stuff like that. And because of that, I get access to all this kind of stuff. So in about an hour and a half, I take the stage and we do our show.
So what is the biggest show you've done in terms of actual amount of TNT involved?
There's two, actually. So the most pyrotechnic effects was Motley Crue. They had just a ridiculous, like, normally I get like 1 or 2 pages of things that a band is going to do. Motley Crue had like 16 pages of stuff, and it took forever to go through all the stuff. The biggest fire one is there's a band called Rammstein out of Germany.
Rammstein.
Yeah, Rammstein has unbelievable amounts. Like those 20-gallon propane tanks that normally people use, they go through like 15 of them in a show. So it's, I mean, fire for everything. Like, hey, let's light everything on fire. Okay, take a break. Okay, let's light everything on fire. Okay, take a break. So it's fun.
That's crazy. Now, what does, like, now somebody's like, you know, hey, I've got this band and we're going to come and do a show. What does that look like? I mean, you don't have to give up any trade secrets or anything, like, but I'm sure you got to deal with the fire marshal, and that's going to be expensive. And you're going to have to, you know, just the handling of these things. Because I used to work with Get Motivated, and they had a guy come out, and he was a pyro guy, and he was there every week. And he had all these boxes that he made with the switches and all the safety, everything. And I kind of, you know, what let's just say that I'm an upcoming rock band, and I really want to do something like a quarter of the size of a Motley Crue show. What's a dollar figure on that going to be?
Oh, geez. Well, surprisingly enough, some of the most expensive stuff is the insurance and the venue fees for buying like whatever union stuff you need and that kind of stuff, actually, versus the materials themselves aren't necessarily the most expensive part. It's getting the licenses and having a architect design out the distances and things like that to make sure everybody's safe, and getting a sign off on a waiver from an insurance company. You probably have $1,500 just in that stuff before you even get into picking your pyro, setting the stuff up, moving the stuff around. I mean, shows can spend anywhere from as small as probably $2,500 up to probably 50 grand. I mean, and that's per stop. So depending on how big your group is or whatever it is, like, you know, when Taylor Swift was on tour, there was one hit in one song, and that was it. Like, we set up and you set it down and you waited the entire show, and at the end you went click, and that was it. You know, that's kind of the end of it. And it wasn't very much, but that was a high production tour. I mean, that tour was $475 million. So, you know, versus Alice Cooper, we're out in the middle of a cornfield right now, and it's going to be a great show and a ton of people here, and, you know, a couple of effects to kind of accentuate the show. And if you've ever seen it, it's the same show he's been doing since 1970s, and it's awesome.
I have actually never seen Alice Cooper live. I did meet him one time, though, in Appleton, Wisconsin. They did, our band was playing for the Catholic diocese there, and they had some kind of scary train ride thing, and he was there at the end of it. And I didn't know this at the time, but he's a believer. He's actually a Christian, and he just keeps the shtick up, you know, but a super nice guy.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I haven't met too many people who aren't nice guys. I mean, and it's kind of weird too, because like the level of security, depending on the concert, will change from time to time. Like sometimes you can talk to these guys and stuff like that. Like we were talking before we got on here about how I've talked to Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee and all those guys, and Gene Simmons when he was in town and stuff like that. But then like when Paul McCartney came to town, there was not even like, I didn't even get within 100 yards of the guy, because it's just, they are super protective of him. So when he would move through the stadium, they would say, okay, Paul McCartney's moving. All the doors in the hallway would close and a wall of security. And you literally just had to stop, stood where you were. They moved through the location, and then you went back to work and everything like that. So they were very protective.
See, you got to wonder if that's the people that are surrounding Paul to just, you know, try to insulate him. You got to wonder if he's like thinking, man, these paranoid thoughts. Like every time I'm around, everybody just like runs away and they shut the doors on it. You got to wonder if he's, you know, if it's prearranged or if.
Well, I asked about that actually. So I asked, you know, what the scenario is on that, and they said that there's times where tours and different artists will get threats and things like that, so they take them really seriously. And with the fact that one of the Beatles got assassinated, and you had that whole scenario, and then, you know, the insurance involved with a concert. I mean, imagine if he was walking backstage and somebody walked into him and hit him with something, what would happen to that whole tour and the value of it and things like that. So there's a lot of things that are put in place to protect the artists, just because they have a talent and something they can offer to people, and they don't want somebody accidentally, you know, dropping something or making an issue or whatever it is. So I can understand why they do it. I mean, because if he doesn't tour, there's no show.
Well, and nobody gets paid then.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Because this is an interesting topic to me, I'm gonna try and stall out just a little bit more, because if anybody has any questions that are pyro and rock and roll related, bring it on, or else we're gonna move on to tech stuff, which tech is great, but this is a lot more exciting. So
yeah, and the other thing is we're kind of on a timeline in the sense of I have no idea when the opening part's going to open. So there could be a time where all of a sudden we're doing this, I mute it and I give you one of these, and that's it for me, because you won't be able to hear anymore. Because, you know, when they go on the stage, I can't go out there like, hey, can you guys quiet down for me? You know? Yeah,
exactly. But you don't even know who the opening act is.
It's a local rock band. They do like rock country stuff. So it's nice, because like tours like this, what they'll do is they'll reach out to a local band or something like that to give them some, you know, I don't want to say notoriety or whatever, but it's kind of cool. Like, hey, we opened for Alice Cooper and stuff like that. You know, yesterday we were playing the VFW, and now we're opening for Alice Cooper. So it's kind of a cool little thing.
No, I'm telling you, man, from the perspective of a guy who's had to do that, when you get to play with a heavy hitter, and it is a shot in the arm like you wouldn't believe. I mean, even just to be able to put it on your resume or put it in your bio. Yeah, we played with so cool. All right, here's a question from Lone Star Living. How many black cats or M80s would I need to make a cool explosion for a band?
So let's talk about that, because a lot of people ask that question a lot. You would not, like, seriously, they'll come up to me like, oh my God, are you going to shoot off 10 tons of fireworks and stuff like that? And if you saw how small the box was of materials that we brought out to the show, I mean, it's about the size of a shoebox that everything fits inside of. For indoor pyro, see, outdoor fireworks, it's very interesting because there's a lot of distance. Like you're 500 to 700 yards away from the devices. So when they go up in the air, if they go up 50 feet or they go up 500 feet, you're okay because you got the safety distances. Versus on a stage, it's a fixed location and a fixed audience. So you have to have that stuff work perfectly every time, because if it doesn't, somebody will get hurt. So the pyro for indoor usually burns at a lower temperature rate, so that then, like, you know, those gerbs that come on, you see the big silver sparks, I could literally put my hands inside of those sparks and it wouldn't burn me, because they're burning at about 70 or 80 degrees. And then like the loud booms that you hear in concerts are actually, it's a sound effect more than a pyro effect, because, and I'm giving you all the secrets backstage, but they have a thing, it's about the size of a can of soda, and it's a steel container, and in the top of it, there's a hole. And what you do is you put a small charge inside this hole, and you put a small plug in the top of the hole. And when you want to get that boom, you know, that real loud boom sound, all it is this small charge that's compressed in a little location. And when it comes out of the top of it, it's like a cannon blast, but it's not propelling anything except for sound, and you get a big sound wave that comes out of it. So, you know, that's how they make the big boom sounds. And it's kind of funny because everything's electronic. So when you pull the trigger to do that, it'll make a spark in the air, but the spark doesn't really make any noise. But then this thing over here explodes, and your mind puts the two things together, and it makes you think that it came from that.
Wow.
It's really a secret for everybody.
safety stuff now, how, because you hear every once in a while some band like Metallica, James Hetfield got burned pretty bad. How do you deal with safety, especially when you're dealing with the band has several cues and they need to know, don't stand there at this time. How do you deal with those protocols?
So things like the situation with where James Hetfield, I mean, we can talk about, because I had to go through a course where we went through safety and we looked at all the accidents and why they happened, what led up to them and everything like that. So everything from the thing that burned down in New Jersey, the nightclub that burned down at, what was it, White Snake or something like that?
Great White.
Great White. Everything from what happened in that fire and exactly why it happened to the James Hetfield to Michael Jackson's hair getting burnt and all that kind of stuff. We go through all those and why they happen. The biggest thing is that's where that architect in the beginning comes from, because they design, you know, the set and the rigging and all that kind of stuff to make it all come apart. But then they put the pyro in there. And like, I go back to the thing about how they work. So an indoor firework, it'll say printed right on the side, this will be 3 feet wide and 10 feet tall, or this will be 3 feet wide and 50 feet tall, or whatever it is. You just pick the right things to use in the right location. So if you know that you need to be 50 feet from the people and your device is, you know, 50 feet back, the most you can go is 10 to keep the distances good. So it's all about knowing the product and things like that. And it's very manufactured and very specific to keep everybody safe.
So, but from time to time, the artist is just in the wrong place at the wrong time and they should not have been there.
Yeah, that's happened before. You know, there's very few malfunctions of devices and stuff like that. Like the James Hetfield scenario, one of the things that they led to was the fact that he was drinking. So, you know,
so he was actually filled with propellant.
Well, what happened was he stepped in front of what's called a flashbang, which is basically some magnesium that burns really fast. So that it makes a real big bright white thing. And you're supposed to be 10 feet away from it because at that distance you won't get burned. What happened was he didn't know where the tape line was on the ground, because on the stage they have taped boxes that the artists stay out of so they know the safe distances without having to figure it out. And he thought he was on one side of the tape line. He was actually on the other and didn't realize it was right behind him. And when he stopped to turn, it went off and burned him. Wow.
Well, I got to tell you what, dude, I can sit and talk rock and roll stage stuff all night, but let's get to some tech for these people. Let's start out with video cards, because once again, you have a unique perspective on video cards. So tell us your day gig, and then I've got questions to ask for the video producers that I think would be helpful to them.
Sure. So I work with a couple different companies. One of them is NVIDIA and one of them is EVGA. My day job, I work with all the major retailers in the US and Canada selling different products in the marketplace. And one of my clients is a graphics card company, EVGA, and they do NVIDIA graphics cards. So I'm involved with the distribution, the selling, the marketing, which products are going out in the marketplace, and really designing those programs for them. So that's kind of one of the day jobs that I have. And, you know, that's one of the vendors. And we were talking offline going, hey, what does a graphics card do for a person who wants to, you know, video and do all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And so, I have a background from production. So I'm coming at it from a different perspective, you know, cost versus, you know, what am I going to get this? What's really going to be my benefit? And so for those of you guys who are on laptops, this part of the conversation is probably not going to help a lot because you don't really change out a video card in a laptop. But for those who are, you know, working with a PC, let's talk about why it's important to have a dedicated video card when you're making video, like as video production, not just for gaming.
It helps if I unmute it. Sorry about that. I've got a lot of background noise, so I'm trying to be polite and unmute it, but then I start talking and then I get the hand signal from Brad of like, I can't hear you. So a lot of people use graphics cards for gaming and that kind of stuff, but quite honestly, a big part of it is video production, because your processor is processing a certain amount of information, your graphics card is producing another part, and when you're rendering files and working with video files and things like that, think of a graphics card as having a bigger table to work on. So the more memory, the more processor, and things like that, it gives you more workspace. So think of your computer as like a kitchen and you have an island. Well, imagine if you had a little station next to your island where you could do extra stuff to make the experience in your kitchen better. Graphics card is the same thing. The more memory you have, the faster the processor, things like that, means the more things you can have on it at one time, the more things it can crunch, the better it renders the files. When I say renders, makes it look good, put it together to kind of output it.
Now, one thing that I personally have struggled with is understanding some of the terminology and why you need it, because I use Adobe Premiere Pro. And so the very first thing I do when I'm building a PC, because I always build my PCs for production, because I can save almost $1,000 and get a killer machine by putting it together myself. But in terms of the, so I will go and look at Adobe's specs, and they'll say, okay, you can use any one of these video cards, and they range wildly from, like, you know, $50 up to $5,000. And one of the things that I want to know about is when they say that for you to do real-time HD streaming and blah, 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 they say that you need to have what are called CUDA cores, CUDA. And what is a CUDA core and why is it important?
Actually, for our business, it usually runs on ratios of clock speed and how fast it's crunching data and how fast it's transferring data. So we look at things like bus speed. We look at things that, like, what kind of inputs and outputs does it have? What kind of capability it has? CUDA core, actually, I haven't seen a score on CUDA core ever on any of ours. I think it might be because we're targeting more towards the game side of it, but refresh rate, things like that. Like, if you want to drive monitors at a certain ratio and refresh rate, you have to have a processor inside your graphics card that's high enough to be able to put that data out. And then if you have two graphics card or two monitors, or you're producing one thing on one side and you're previewing it on another, so you're producing it as it's going, your graphics card has to have the ability to render and crunch that file and also reproduce it at the same time. So it's doing two things at once. So that's why you'll see dual core, or you'll see some of the higher end processors like a graphics card like a 1060, 1070, or 1080, which tend to be higher price. One, because they have better cooling because they're doing a lot of processing, but two, they usually have higher amounts of storage on them, maybe 2, 4, or 8 gigs of memory, things like that, which it's basically giving it the ability to do what it needs to on the side.
Well, let me ask you this now. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions all in a row. If you're thinking that you are a video producer, YouTube producer, and you want to make that upgrade to get a dedicated card, but you don't want to really spend a ton of money, but you really want to make sure that you're getting a benefit to it, talk about price. Like, where should you be? Because it seems to me like a lot of the video cards are competitive, and you're going to get certain cards that will have certain stats that are in certain price groupings. And so
right,
where would you want to be if you didn't want to spend $500?
So what I tell people is, first off, find out what your machine has, because there's a lot of things you can do to upgrade your machine. You can look at your memory, you can look at your hard drive, you can look at your graphics card, you can look at a lot of different pieces. You can even look at the software that's in your computer. But if, let's say we put all those things out of the picture and we only talked about graphics, I tell people to usually look at stuff between the $199 and $299 price range as a good way to step up. Like, if you buy a desktop computer, it's going to come with something very, very basic. Spending even $199 or $299 for, let's say, a 1050 or a 1060 card, in those scenarios, you would get enough graphics power that would increase your business, or increase the ability for your card to do what it needs to immensely. And the thing is you're going to notice it when you're producing videos and pushing things out, that it's gonna crunch faster. You're gonna get your program to, you know, when you get your video finished and you press the button and it's got to do its thing to produce, to be able to look at it, things like that, that stuff will be much, much faster.
Well, let me ask you this now. If you had an ability to, say, have one $400 graphics card, would it be smarter to put two $200 graphics cards in if you wanted to run multiple monitors?
So that's a really good question, and that comes up a lot, actually. Multiple graphics cards to drive multiple monitors actually usually benefits the gamer more than the video production person. The reason why is, for a gamer, you have a super high refresh rate at a super high resolution. So that graphics card has to continually draw that picture over and over and over again. And if you have two monitors doing that, and you have one card that's doing that, it has to work twice as hard to maintain an image on those two monitors, versus some graphics cards where you put two in and you run one on one and one on the other. So then they're either interlaced with each other so that it's producing the same video content on both of them, or you're producing different content on two different monitors and things like that. So those are things you got to look at. For most people who are doing graphic production, I say one graphics card is good enough for 95% of the people out there.
Okay. Okay. Other things that I deal with is, where would you, is there a magic number right now in the market that, since you're producing, full 1920 by 1080, video, like full HD, Is there a number that you have to get? You know, you're going to need to spend $200 to get something that's going to be worth it, or do you need to spend 100? Or is it 300 for the
real
true
sweet
HD?
spot. So the real sweet spot in the video market right now, and probably the most popular, because I get to see the sell-through at the retailers and where everything's at, the most popular card right now for both that dances a little bit into the gaming world, but really dances into the video production world is about $299. It's usually it's like a 1060. Easy way to think about graphics cards is every one of them has a number on them. So the lower the number tends to be less processors, less memory, entry level, and less price. The higher the number, the more processors, the more ability, the more technology built into them. So when you look at it, a $299 graphics card is a 1060. Like EVGA currently sells a $299 graphics card. You can go on Amazon and find it, or anything else. You guys probably have the link for it. Probably one of the most popular cards as a upgrade card. That's the one that I recommend to people when they ask me, hey, I'm upgrading my PC, what should I do? Because you get some of the benefits of what a gamer would want in the business, but you get all of the benefits of what a person who's doing video editing and things like that. And it's light years better than what you would spend or use that comes with the computer originally.
Nice. All right, graphics card talk on hold for now. Let's move on to something I think that a lot of the people that are on here either know about or have had to deal with. You have had to deal with this, I've had to deal with this, and that's rural internet. Now,
I'm actually dealing with it right now. We are dealing with rural internet right now. So
here's the thing. I mean, we're looking for a new homestead, right? And it seems like we'll find a place and then it'll be like, nope, there's no internet at all. Your choice is HughesNet or nothing. And in our experience, HughesNet is horrible and it costs a lot of money and it still doesn't ever get you where you need to go. Do you know of any other way other than maybe, I guess, using your phone and getting the ultimate unlimited plan and just make your phone a hotspot? Do you have any magic wand when it comes to internet and remote locations?
Real quickly on that point is, first off, because Tommy was actually going through this at Off Grid Nation, and he and I have been having conversations with this. When somebody is moving to a rural location, the first thing I ask him is, do you have phone service? Because if you have phone service, according to some of the new stats that are happening where rural internet companies have to provide internet over the phone line, if you have phone service, most likely you can get DSL. It might not be the fastest in the world, but it'll at least get you online. It gives you unlimited information, unlimited data, but it'll be slow. Give you an example for our homestead, our property itself has DSL service. Even though we're in the middle of the woods, we've got a regular phone line and we have 1 meg DSL service, which is enough that I can watch live streams on YouTube, I can update Facebook, I can post to Instagram, and if I wanted to, I'll edit a video during the day and then I'll upload it overnight, and by the morning it's uploaded. It's not the greatest, but at least it gets you there. That's item one. Usually, if you call your phone company, they'll tell you what you have available. The craziest thing is DSL is a very unique technology in the sense that the further you are away from the location where it's coming from, the slower the speed is. So if you drove 1 mile north of our property, you get 5 meg service. 1 mile south, you get 1 meg service.
Is that because of the users in the way, or is it just like
the signal gets weaker the further it gets from the source? So on cable internet, the more people you have on cable internet, they chop the signal up between all the users. On DSL, it's a one-to-one relationship, but the further that signal goes, the weaker it gets.
Wow, that is something I did not know. That's very interesting.
So for most people who have homesteads and properties, I say call your local phone company and find out if you have access to DSL, because quite honestly, I think having DSL is better than having phone for the most part, and DSL is better than HughesNet. In general, because you don't have data caps, you don't have anything like that. So I can still watch Netflix at my house. Yeah, it buffers a little bit here and there, or I have to watch it on standard resolution versus high resolution, but at least I'm watching TV, and we're in the middle of the woods. Now, the next step up from that I go to is cellular internet services like either 4Gas or Verizon or something like that. Now, the cool thing about Verizon is with Verizon internet, they have the unlimited plan. Well, people who live in urban areas, once you hit the cap, they tend to throttle you because they have a lot of people sharing that data. When you're in the rural areas, you can use it as much as you want for the most part because there's less people out there to split up the data. So I have a friend who's gone over every month on his unlimited plan, the 10 gigs unlimited, and he still gets the high speed. But when he goes to the city, it throttles him down.
Wow. Well, that's actually answered a lot for me because we're looking for a homestead And I spent at least an hour today trying to find anybody who would service for internet where this place is. And so far we are SOL.
Well, okay, so then the next item on the list after that is if you contact the phone company, there's a service. It was really popular back in the 90s and a little bit in the 2000s, and it was called ISDN, which is the service before you had DSL came out and everything like that. If you had regular dial-up or you could have ISDN, they still offer that service in a lot of areas. You just have to check and find out. The only problem with it is it's very expensive. It's not expensive to have the service because it's about the same as a phone service. But example, for me to bring ISDN service into our property would end up costing us probably about $4,000 or $5,000. So it's the cost of the install more than the cost of the service.
Well, and that's the thing. Actually, the place that we were looking at, believe it or not, is an Amish home. And so not that we got a lot of challenges if we were to end up there, because number one, they don't have any electric, they don't have any of that stuff there. And so a lot of the people that are in that area are Amish. So I'm guessing that, you know, these companies, why would they want to spend a ton of money bringing the infrastructure in when they're only going to get like 1 out of 50 houses will actually sign up for their service? So we're looking, you know, to try and find out if this place will work, because obviously YouTube is a big part of our life, and YouTube takes a lot of bandwidth. You gotta and just download, you know, file size. It's huge.
Sorry, I had a problem with the mute there. One thing you can also do, and I know that some people do this, and actually Wrangler does this, is what they'll do is they'll shoot a series of videos, and not to tell you behind the scenes and stuff like that on other YouTubers, but what they'll do is he'll shoot a whole series of videos and record them all, and then when they go to town to go shopping or something like that, he'll upload all of them scheduled in a batch, and then those are the videos for next week. And then while those are all going, like you think it's like, oh, that happened yesterday. Well, actually, that happened a week ago yesterday. And then, you know, he produces his 7 shows, uploads them all at one shot, and they just come out one at a time each day. So it looks like he's uploading every day, but the YouTube scheduler is basically putting the shows out on a regular basis.
Yeah, and that's we kind of figured that was going to have to be. We would have to find like a coffee shop or wherever you get plugged in for church. Maybe they'll loan you their internet while you're there, and so that's definitely a struggle for me. So moving on, guys. Here's the thing: we started talking about cryptocurrency, Steam It last week, and if we get to that, that's great. But I think we wanted to tie up some loose ends with Amazon. You had some questions from people concerning Amazon affiliates.
Yeah, I got a question from somebody, and they were asking specifically, okay, I'm glad you guys talked about Amazon and how to set up the account and that you can use it to make money. He said, but I don't want to be a, you know, where you like, hey, here's this product to so-and-so that I'm showing you and reviewing this product, and now go buy it and use my Amazon link to do it. I don't have a show like that, so how do I fit Amazon into it? And I know that you guys do a really good job of it, so I wanted to bring the question to you. Is I think it was Dave sent an email that said, hey, I don't want to do gear reviews, but I'd love to have a way to use Amazon to help, you know, subsidize some of our income. How do I do that? So I'm going to ask you that question.
Okay. Well, the way that I deal with it, guys, is the way that I would want to be dealt with on the other side of it. The way that I approach our channel all the time, whether it's watching a video or whether the content is good enough, if I sit down and I watch a video and I don't think that it's good enough for me to invest my time in watching it, I won't do that. And so I'll go back to the drawing board and rework the video. Or if it's something like a Patreon or Amazon, nobody wants to sit and be sold. They don't want to feel like they're sitting there watching, you know, an infomercial. So what we do is I'm very light-handed with it. If we're doing some kind of a product, I'm like, hey, look, you know, I love my new iPhone case or whatever. Let's say that was the thing. I'll just, you know, I'll say, hey, look, Alice Cooper just walked by. Cool. I basically will just go, you know what, hey guys, if you're interested in this product, you want to find out more, there's a link down below, boom. And that's usually all I'll do. Sometimes it may go just a little bit farther. I might say, hey, if you buy one of these things, it gives us a couple bucks to my family, and so we're very grateful. I don't belabor the point. I just basically get to it. My quote product pitch is generally 15 seconds or less. And the reason for that, I think that most people will understand you're trying to provide for your family. And you're also trying to make sure that these people see this cool product that you really do like, and they want to get it. So what I feel like is my responsibility is make sure that the people know where they can get it if they want it, and then don't beat them over the head with it. Just think about the way that you'd want to be dealt with it. And even with us, with Patreon, it's very rare that we'll talk about Patreon. And I actually got to the point where I don't think we've talked about it until just now for well over a month. And we're making a video a day. And so sometimes I'll put up like a graphic on there that just says, hey, if you want to support us, that's great. We're very grateful. Don't do it if you don't have a buck to spare. We just try to treat people the way that we want to be treated. And in that way, people don't feel like they're being sold, and they feel like, hey, I do want to know about this. Because, like, for example, the Moringa oleifera product, my arthritis nonsense, it's gone because I take this Moringa. So I believe in the product. It's something that has made a difference in my life. And so it would kind of be messed up of me not to share it with other people that might have a huge impact in their life. And so share it, just don't beat them over the head with it. That's kind of my opinion.
I've seen a lot of people also do the, hey, if you like to support our channel, I have some links in the description that you can use when you're shopping online and things like that. If you're thinking about buying something, you want to think of us and stuff like that. Because I know sometimes people are like, I've gotten emails, and I don't mean to bring it up like I'm bragging or anything like that, but I've gotten emails where people are like, hey, I want to support the show. Can I send something to Cameron, or can I send something to here? Can I do that? Or I want to send you a seed packet, or send you things, or whatever in the mail. And, it's one of those things where it's like, I would rather have you support a channel or support somebody or something like that. So here's a link that's an easy way to do it. Because, like, even one YouTuber that I've been working with, one of the things he said is, like, people are spending $40 or $50 mailing packages to him for some stuff inside of there, and he's really grateful for it. But he feels bad that people are spending, a significant amount of money, versus an easy way to support his channel is to click on the link and do stuff that they'd normally be doing anyway. So that's kind of one way that I've seen a lot of people really do it, and do it well. Use it as a way of, hey, support the channel without having to spend anything extra to do it.
Well, and I actually think that's really, really the way to go, because if people are going to buy something anyway and they can help you out, why not? Why wouldn't you? Pick the channels that you like, and maybe if you got like 5 channels and they all do Amazon, rotate them out or whatever. But it's an easy way you can support them without actually having to, you're right. You're hitting it right on the money. That's exactly how I feel too. Here a question from Baker Mom. How long does the Amazon link cookie last?
The Amazon link, if you click on it and go and somebody buys something, is it 24 or 48 hours, Brad? So
it's
if you
24 for anything that was with you.
Right. So you click on my link, you go to Amazon and you shop and you buy something. Anything they buy for the next 24 hours, you get credit on. If they go from your link to Amazon and then leave and then come back to Amazon organically, you don't get credit for it. I don't know if you knew that or not, but in the terms and conditions, because Amazon can't tell where the cookie came from, they can only tell the first time they use it, not each time they use it.
Right. So if somebody's a fan of your channel, they should probably just keep a generic link straight into your Amazon page, because we've had that happen. And there's folks that say, hey, we're going to buy all our Christmas presents like this, and we want to make sure that you get the benefit. And so they'll just grab a generic link that'll take them to our Amazon page. And that way, every time they go on, even if it's like they wanted to buy a toy for their grandkid, they just log in through our Moringas. It doesn't matter what they buy as long as they go in through that link.
Right. Check my mic here. 2 items too on that is, one trick that Eric from Garden Fork had showed me is, if you have your own website, you could make a URL that actually forwards. So give you an example, let's say you had bigfamilyhomestead.com/Amazon. Instead of having to type in that really, really long Amazon link, all they have to remember is bigfamilyhomestead.com/Amazon, and you'd be good to go. So that's another thing too, is we talked about, hey, how important is it to have a website and that kind of stuff. It's good to have for email and bring all your content together and have a way to communicate to your fans and things like that. But then you can also use it for those types of things.
Excellent. So do you think that has adequately answered that question?
I saw one more question here that came up. Which computer equipment, only for not gaming, only for photography and video for YouTube? I guess I'm not getting what the question is. Which computer to own? Is that the question?
I didn't see it, but in the meantime, Jatan is asking, how do you get an Amazon link to use for income?
Just go to, go ahead. I was gonna say, just go to Amazon or go to Google and type in Amazon affiliate, and it'll bring the Amazon URL up to the top. You just sign up for an account, go through the questions, answer all this stuff, get it set up. It takes a little bit. They ask some information about your tax stuff, and they ask a little bit of information about some other stuff, and then they go through and they figure out if they're going to approve you, and you go through approval process. Once you're approved, you get your link, and you can go to town and start using it.
Booyah! Just like that, mic drop.
By the way, Brad, just so you know, I'm getting a low signal here. So if all of a sudden I just disappear, nothing bad happened. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's saying that it's having a hard time keeping the connection. So I don't know if you guys can still see me.
Well, Alice Cooper did just walk through your booth. So there's going to be some, residual, vibe. There's residual vibe.
It was like all of a sudden everything got dark and kind of spooky, and there was a little bit of fog that kind of rolled in, and he just kind of floated through.
Oh, yeah. Come on. I can't get the vision of Wayne's World out of my head anytime I hear Alice Cooper. We're not worthy, and I love the scene where they're sitting backstage and all the guys in the band are just like listening to sage wisdom from Alice Cooper. Miliwake is actually Algonquin for the good land, Phil.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually how he talks, by the way. He's very eloquent when he speaks and things like that. And like he carries himself very well. I know that he does a lot of charitable stuff, and he helps out a lot of people. And you got the onstage persona, which is kind of fun and unique and everything like that. But then you also have, he's just a regular guy like everybody else. And like you'll go to Burger King and get a hamburger or whatever, and that kind of stuff.
All right, Linda's Pantry is asking, how do you get a generic Amazon link? I know, but you can answer, sir.
A generic Amazon link. Like a URL?
For your channel.
I think when you sign up for it, don't you just pick what your name is, and then it just applies it to it, and they put a -20 after it?
That is correct.
There you go.
That is correct, Linda. So it's easier than you think, but if you need help, I'll be happy to help. So
yeah, it's surprisingly enough, it's very simple, and like even actually my wife watches Linda's shows all the time and stuff like that, and I've watched them here and there. And YouTube channels where you're talking about different things or different, like there's an Instapot, that Insta pressure cooker with the timer on it that everybody's been talking about.
Yeah.
That one's been one where people are like, hey, here's what I'm using. And then if everybody asks you, hey, which one are you using or whatever it is, why not just send them the link with the Amazon thing? Because if they're asking you your advice, why not figure out a way to, get something from it, and it doesn't cost them anything else. So when people call me and ask me about computer information, guess what? I send them an Amazon affiliate link.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, okay, well, Amazon affiliate stuff, I think we're good to go with that. One thing I do want to say, and I think we touched on it last week. If we did not, I can't remember exactly, but you actually shared with me how easy it is to actually put a product link into your description in YouTube, because I was confused. I thought you had to have like an Amazon store, and you had to put all this stuff in there, and you had to have a specialized website, but that's not the case at all. All you have to do, guys, go ahead. Tell them how to do it, because it gives you a short link.
Well, so when you log into Amazon on your regular account, on the top bar, Amazon adds a little toolbar. So whatever item you're looking at, you just click on the toolbar, and it gives you an option to get a short link, get a long link, get a
text. Uh-oh, he's gone. And he's gone, ladies.
He did warn us, though.
He warned us in advance. All right, so here's the scoop, guys. I'll continue what Will was saying, that when you log into your Amazon affiliate, once you've gone through all the steps, and all you got to do is you type into the search what it is that you're looking for. Let's say that you're looking for a rice cooker, okay? So you'd put in rice cooker, and then you'd find the rice cooker that you want to put a link into your description. Then up at the top, like he was saying, there's a new banner that allows you to get a text link or a picture and description link. And if you're going to put it into YouTube, you just click that text link, and it's going to give you a small little code. And you cut, copy, and paste that. You put it into your description, And that way, anytime somebody goes, oh, I want to get this rice cooker, that's perfect. It's going to fit my needs perfectly. And they see it down there, they can click on that, and that will automatically take them to the rice cooker, number one. But number two, if they buy it, it's going to give you credit. So you'll get a couple bucks for that referral. So I hope that helps answer.
Yep.
And guys, for those of you guys who are showing up a little bit late, the reason why we've been having a little bit of fun with this whole Alice Cooper thing is that Will has a side business that he does pyrotechnics for rock and roll concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So people hire him to make all the booms and the fire and explosions. And he's at an Alice Cooper show right now. And Alice Cooper is getting ready to go on in about, I think, an hour and 10 minutes. And basically, so he's there. He's there. Adam is asking, Claire, can I support you guys buying anything on Amazon? Well, here's the thing. Claire's too young to have an Amazon account. Our family does. And if you wanted to somehow earmark that to Claire, we could figure that out. And we're very grateful. But I think we're going to call it a night, because the other chunk of that I had here was dealing specifically with Will. So other questions, or else we're gonna cash it in 10 minutes early here. Oh wow, I don't know that. I messed up on Amazon.
Hello?
There's Will. Speakerphone, Claire, speakerphone.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Sorry about that, but I don't know what happened. I lost all of my connection. It says it won't let me connect remotely on mine.
Well, Alice is very, very, he's kind of a Wi-Fi monger. He's very, very strict about it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I know that we're 10 minutes to call time, so maybe they shut all the systems off right before the show or whatever, but kind of crazy.
Actually, I think that would be very wise. Think about that. People will be streaming the show for free.
Exactly. Are you guys still online?
We are. We're going to say goodnight here, though, because we only got 10 minutes left, and I wanted really to have you in on the conversation on this last piece.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. If you guys can still hear me and everything, I'm live remote from a cornfield right now, but yeah, all internet signal is down now for some reason, so.
Okay, so folks, if you do not already have yourself subscribed to the Weekend Homestead, please think of all the value that Will is sharing with you guys in terms of knowledge. Go and open up a new tab and put in the Weekend Homestead and subscribe as a thank you, the bare minimum, and tell your people to subscribe, because he's giving away this information. It's not costing you guys a thing, and I know that it's benefited my channel. So if it has mine, it's surely going to benefit your channel. So
sure. Well,
guys,
one other thing too, Brad, is if anybody has questions outside of this, I know after the show we get a lot of things in the comments or whatever it is. If people want to send me an email, it's will@theweekendhomestead.com, and I'm happy to answer questions for folks. And then if it's something that somebody like the email that we got about the Amazon thing, I bring it to the show and we can share it with the community because it's a good topic. I'll get a half dozen to a dozen emails every week from people. So feel free to send an email to will@theweekendhomestead.com.
all righty, brother. Thank you so much for coming on.
I can give everybody one more reason to subscribe. We're coming up on the 4th of July, and I can almost guarantee that this year we'll have a number of live shows from all the different events that I'm going to be at. Starting about June 15th, my channel changes from homesteading stuff to a lot of pyro, because basically I do pyro from June 15th all the way up to about mid-July or so.
Heck
so we'll
yeah.
have a lot of cool concerts, events, and different things that you guys will be able to see backstage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full and explosions.
Exactly.
All right, dude. Hugs and kisses. Thanks for coming on, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys.
See you. All righty, kids. With that said, have a great night. We're going to talk explosions. How cool is that? That is really cool. And Tim Beverly, well, he knows about, fire and burny things that burn. So bye. Linda's Pantry, I got to call you, and I'm going to try right now.